just looking at Immortals lineup already, we see 5 heavy tanks, 2 AMX 50s, 2 IS-3s, and then T-32.
I mean, as expected, right? Yeah. I mean, the Immortals loving those 5 heavy tanks. And I mean, when we first saw them, right? I believe one of those sets, like in their first debut match, we saw like the first 2 sets they played, they went with 5 heavy tanks and they completely dominated the other team. Yeah. And then in like the 3rd or 4th set, I think they like switched out one of their heavy tanks for like a light tank or a medium tank, and then they just flat out lost. So I mean, one kind of funny thing that me and Phil always talk about the Immortals is that every time they go with a light tank, they always lose. But I mean, lately they kind of changed that, and they have been winning with lighter tanks. But I mean, generally, if you see the Immortals going with 5 heavy tanks, you got to be scared.
Yeah, I mean, that's their strategy.
Yeah,
that's what we've seen them play the most. That's what we've seen them win the most with.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
And if they want to do it and they want to win with that strategy, then why not do it?
Yeah, exactly. I have to completely agree with you there. Why change something when it's so strong? And PvP, their tank lineup, it's actually a little bit different than what I predicted. You know, I predicted 2 AMX 13s and 2 T69s and 1 T32, but they actually went with 3 heavy tanks. And I think that's due to the fact that they're facing a team that loves to go 5 heavy tanks. So if they actually went with the lineup that I mentioned, they would be at a pretty big disadvantage just in terms of firepower. So I mean, it's actually a really wise decision by them to tweak their tank setup just to, like, according to who they're facing against. Yeah. So I really like that.
It's important, like, especially against teams like Immortals, they like to push with 5 tanks. They like to focus down tanks. Like, you have to respond to that. You can't just pick a bunch of light tanks, you know? You're just gonna get outnumbered in firepower. You gotta respond to tank picks. Like, each team, when they pick tanks, it goes 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. And you get a chance to kind of respond to what the other team is picking.
Yep, exactly.
And I'm sure against the Immortals, they know what Immortals do. Like, they've studied these teams. And PvP Super Friends and Spec Ops, maybe even PvP Missionary has played against Immortals before in scrims or whatever, in tournaments, and they know what Immortals like to do. And when they see those 5 heavy tanks, they're like, okay, we have to respond somewhat with some heavy tanks of our own.
And PvP are doing this perfectly. They are completely shattering the Immortal strategy right now. The Immortals, they love to be aggressive. They love to force engagements in your face, but PvP just completely neutralizing that aggression right there. Oh, and they do lose a AMX 13 though. That's actually big. That's kind of big. That's really big, actually. That is not. I was actually not expecting that at all. We didn't have vision on that tank kill actually, so I don't even know where he went down.
It like went down almost instantly. I mean, on my map, I just saw the blip go out. And I thought it was like a T1. You know?
Yeah, no, I thought it was a T1 too, because I mean, at least from what I was seeing, it looked like, you know, it's like a one-shot, one-kill thing, and you only see that with T1s. But surprisingly, yes, KU was taken down right there. A pretty big loss. They have been doing nice damage onto those Immortal members. However, due to the fact that they did lose an elite tier 8 scout, I don't know if they can actually come back from this because of the sheer amount of heavy tanks on the Immortal side.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason that tank went down so fast. I'm sure he took a bunch of shots from some of the AMX 50s in the back. You see one of the Zvanj, he got that kill on it. He went down so fast because that's what the AMX 50 does. He's all the way in the back. He takes out the light tanks like that. With the lineup like this, with the 5 heavy tanks, you gotta expect that. And that tier 8 light tank going down is just huge. Like, they're gonna have to respond, and I'm not sure how they're gonna do it.
Yeah, that was actually a really great shot from the Immortals, and they're actually gonna go for a potential push here. They are creeping up here to the northern side of the map. Savanj over here on the eastern side of the hill, whereas the other 4 members, the other 4 heavy tanks here, right here in the center of the map on the hill, they have not been able to spot down any more members of PvP, but they have pinged over there to the starting position of PvP, and they could be going for a push. It's just they gotta be careful of not to get spotted and then get rained down upon by that AMX 50. So as long as they watch out for that, they should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I like what they do. Like, Immortals, they know their strategy. It seems like they've used these heavy tanks so often. Like, they know that even though they can be really aggressive, they have a lot of armor, you know, they have that 1 T32 in front probably, like, they still know that they can't run straight on into an AMX 50 and a bunch of other tanks. Like, you just can't do that. So I feel like what they're doing here on this map specifically, a nice 2-1 kill, by the way, going down there. I think Savang actually got that as well.
But if I were the Immortals, I would actually not push. because they managed to
they
take
do.
out a tier 8 tank, and now after that T1 kill, they do have the 8 tier point advantage now, so they don't even have to risk pushing on to PvP. They just gotta wait for PvP to push, because eventually, I mean, PvP, they're gonna have to push or they're gonna lose.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I mean, they know what to do with these 5 tanks.
Yep.
And now that they have the advantage in 8 tier points, it's like, well, we can creep forward slowly, but we're not going to be too aggressive.
Yeah. But they're just gonna go for the push regardless because of the fact.
Immortals.
Yeah, because they're the Immortals and they're so confident in their tank lineup here. Yeah, 3 of those tanks going over to the western side of this hill, kind of going through the waters here. They have spot. Oh, look at that. They're coming from behind PvP. PvP not looking good right now. Pakal getting taken down so... Actually, not extremely little yet. But wow, they're actually doing nice damage to the Catan. Catan might have to be careful here. They have to take out Pakal before, or even a B, or RP there before. Oh my God! They actually take out Catan. So it's tied up now. It's all tied up right now and continue. And yeah, Immortals are continuing to push right now. They're doing so much damage on the PvP. They have split up their forces, and it is like 2v2 and 2v2 like all across the map. And Sirius gonna finish off RP here. Sirius is reloading at the moment, but he is getting surrounded. Yeah, no, RP, yeah, he will go down. Those other 2 Iron Buzz tanks will come and support him, and only 2 tier 8s remaining now on PvP.
I must say, it is so fun to watch the Immortals. You saw the tank like climb over the hill and
I know.
get in their face and be like, I want some kills too, and just like go diving into the enemy team, and actually got like a bunch of damage onto those 2 tanks and distracted them a bunch.
Yeah,
I mean, this is the Immortals. You know, they get an advantage and they respond. You know, they came around, they lined up the 3 heavy tanks right next to each other, and they just did so much damage. They just overpowered the enemy team with more firepower because they have the heavy tanks.
Yeah, and their initial defensive lineup also allowed them to do that. They weren't, you know, too defensive. They weren't too pulled back for, you know, to where they couldn't push at all. But they also were pushed up far enough to where if they wanted to push, they could go out immediately. Yeah. So I really love that strategy coming off from the Immortals, really positioning themselves